So hey, funny story. The video recording wasn't going, so it's going now. But the audio's been going.
Ah.
Captain.
I'm just waiting for the moment that, like, I like him.
Well, in Fellowship of the Ring, he turns white and cuts the ring off Sauron's hand.
That is true. A lot of character development.
Another day's ride east into the Vale.
Signal the other ships. Tell them to make all possible haste.
I guess what I don't understand is why is she going? As the ruler of that entire place, like...
Well, her dad's still alive.
Oh, yeah, I guess so. So she's been more of like a steward kind of thing.
Yeah, I think she's just been kind of making decisions in his place since he's been sick.
We survived them before.
I love this. All of them coming together. This is cool.
Do you believe it? To your positions.
Yeah,
Rich
yeah.
Rich is not won over.
Yeah, this is not gonna go well.
You remember what you used to say? When you would hold me in the dark?
Never had a conversation like this with my mother before. We talk about fun stuff like, do you want me to find you a better phone on OfferUp?
Find the light. And the shadow will not find you.
Oh, yeah, they're dead. It's over. Yeah, this
I feel like the mom's gonna die.
Are you?
Just freaking kiss already.
I know, you would think that's all it takes for him to lose his immortality.
Just like one right here, right on the cheek.
They're here.
Everyone stop playing Uno.
But what if I have one card left? I gotta say it.
My God. Dang. That's a big papa.
This guy's inventing capoeira.
I was thinking the same thing.
Come on, dude.
You know he's dangerous with a stick.
Yeah, I just don't know if getting on his back was the right move.
Yeah.
Girl, this is not the time for this. You better turn around.
More than a bit brave, Alf. More than a bit.
Former dude, I hope you don't die. That was a smart decision, though. Send majority of your first wave as them.
Had to pay the toll.
You have to pay the trolls toll to get into the
bulls. Can't help it. You gotta pay the toll to get in.
Why am I calling? No, I don't want. But they just got married. No, not the freaking. You got both of them?
I'm sorry.
Ugh. That sound. Oh, God.
Ooh, all the blood pouring out of the wound.
Oh, yeah, baby. Now, this is how you do slow-mo. Dude, it'd be crazy if, like, they showed up in the wrong area. Like, oh, shoot, this isn't where the battle's at.
They get there and Aaron Eckhart's tied up on the floor. No, don't come for me!
That was good. Oh. Nice soothe stab.
It's actually there? What?
Oh!
Okay. Yo, that man looks so confused. Aaron Deere is just like, what is going on?
Dang, what's he going to unleash? The beginnings of Mordor?
Commander of the Northern Armies. Galadriel.
He didn't roll that R very hard. I don't know. He might be a traitor.
Oh, not the word.
That was framed like it wanted us to not know who he was gonna trip.
You remember me?
Oh, what the?
Your kind was a mistake.
Did we defeat
Right.
racism this week?
This whole scene has been nothing but Dutch angles.
It's been so sideways. But you're right, though. Like, everything is sideways. This entire scene has been teasing 2 out of the 3 people's identities in the room being kept from the audience.
I don't know. I don't feel like he's Sauron.
Is it true? Are you the king we were promised?
Yes.
What if he just, like, stole that off someone who was dying on the boat?
I did not. What?
I can't
Dude, he
see
even
who this
tricked-
is.
It's the old dude who betrayed him.
There it is, boys. There it is.
Dang. Oh, this took a massive turn. Bro, what? Oh.
Yeah, that guy was set up to go.
Talk about a freaking ending. I think this episode did what it needed to do. It didn't waste time. For the love of God, it didn't waste time. It got to the point. It got to the battle. It still had some moments that were a little bit like chill. Like, let's have a moment between Arendir and the love interest and the son, whatever. Like, it had those moments between Galadriel, Isildur, the father, and it wasn't too slow, it wasn't too long, and it wasn't too short. It was just enough. And then we got right into it, which I appreciated because this show has been doing a lot of pandering and like, here's something really cool that could potentially happen, and here's this other scene that's going on a little bit too long for at least my liking. And this one finally got to the point. I think this episode really started to get to what fans have been wanting to see, at least some fans. And that's honestly, at least for me, I've been waiting for a battle, because one of the things that Lord of the Rings is known for, as in the movies, are their amazing battle sequences. They're amazing battle sequences. I don't think this is anywhere near the Battle of Helm's Deep or Gondor, not at all. But it was good. It wasn't like groundbreaking. It wasn't earth-shattering, but it was entertaining as hell. I will say that. I had a great time seeing the sweeping epic shots of the Numenors and Galadriel, all of them like going from the ships to their horses, then landing in the Southlands to help them at the last minute. I thought all that was epic as F. I loved it. I loved the score. And I'm going to say this, I've been listening to the score for like the last month, and I've been anticipating for this. I've been listening to Calvary and for the Southlands for like a week straight right now, just getting ready. I'm like, let's go. Almost everything with this episode, I really, really enjoyed. I wish there was a little bit more of an emotional beat to certain moments. That was the only thing that was slightly lacking for me. But performances were yet again great from everyone. And the cinematography was really, really good. I loved the Dutch angles. I thought that was a very interesting creative choice for that moment. Like I said, the sweeping shots of all the soldiers coming together to save the people in the Southlands. I love the moment where they realized they've been killing each other. They were killing their neighbors, their friends. That was a really, really good moment. I felt brought a lot of horror, and I felt that to their situation. The interesting angle of Adar saying, "I killed Sauron." What does that mean? It is, yet again, like I said, it's annoying with the tease, but I kind of like the approach, at least in that part of it. It was a little annoying with the Halbrand thing because it was like solidifying, like, hey, just to let you know, we're just teasing right now. It's like, okay, I get it. Okay, maybe I didn't need that scene. Maybe somebody else appreciates that. I didn't fully, but I understand what they're trying to do. It's not like I don't get it. I do get it. Overall, yeah, it's a solid episode. It brought everything that I needed in it when it comes to the action. I was very pleased with it. And I think fans who have been bored with this series, this is the episode they've been waiting for. They've been like, when is something going to happen, for the love of God? Granted, it might take too long for them. Like, they might have already been gone. Like, once episode 2 and 3 happened, they're like, yeah, this is boring. I'm out. Which I've actually heard from some people too. So my friend's like, yeah, dude, that show's just slow. Like, it's too much talking. What's the point of it? And honestly, I don't really blame him, because you need to hook your audience within 2 episodes. Granted, in a movie, you need to hook your audience in 30 minutes. And if you don't hook your audience in 30 minutes, you lost them. I kind of believe that. And with this, I was really sticking around because I'm used to slow burn, like movies, shows, etc. But with this, yeah, I really felt like they could have crunched some of these episodes together. This could have been episode 5. Last week's episode could have been the halfway point. And now we have 2 episodes left when we could have had like 3. But at the same time, saying that, with how they ended this episode, I'm very excited to see how they're going to end it. I don't think I'm in a thought process now with the show where I'm like, oh my God, like nothing's happened at all. Like, what are we trying to do here? And I forgot, one of you said it when the scene was happening, how they're playing with the sword as if it's kind of like almost a cousin to the ring, in the sense of, oh, we're trying to hint towards this power where it's compelling these people, compelling obviously Theo. We've mainly seen that happen for, the symbolism of the power of the ring, how it consumes somebody, and he felt powerful with it and he has to let it go. And we got that great twist. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Last thought of the episode. The twist. Did not see that coming. With the old man at the end, that was great. That was amazing. And the final 5, like not 5 minutes, it was like 2. The final 2 minutes with the destruction, just, and Richard, you were calling it. You were like, man, it's going downhill. Enjoy your ale. Enjoy your dancing with your fiddle. Enjoy that. And boom. I thought that was brilliant and a great way to tease for come back next week to see what happens. And I think there's one shot in some of the trailers that I've seen where it's like completely red everywhere and Galadriel's covered in smoke. And I've been waiting for that, and I think we're going to get that next week. And it's going to be, I think reveals are going to happen. New problems are going to come up, some solutions, but more new problems than solutions. They thought they had a solution in this one. No, I created more issues. And I think the Southlands are done. Get out. Everyone's moving, going up north, or not too far north, because we saw that, the ice. I don't think anyone wants to live there. But I'm just curious where, like, I think at the end of the day, I'm very, very curious where like this is going to end. Is it going to end at the beginning of the forging of the rings? Or is it going to end in some other direction that hints to that? Or are we actually going to see like Celebrimbor talking to you-know-who and it's beginning the process? Or is it going to end with finally us knowing who Sauron is and everyone's like their jaws drop to the floor and like, oh my God, him? And then that's the end. But yeah, those are my like overall big thoughts on this episode and my hopes for the rest of the season, because we only got 2 episodes, guys, and then it's done. And then I don't see season 2 coming out till like 2024, like Christmas, because this show. Oh yeah, dude, this show looks like it took a lot of time. And I pray they
So
take as
actually gonna
much
take
time.
10 years to make.
That's
Like,
what it's going to
actually?
feel like. I mean, with this one, well, typically with production, I mean, with how things are now, it's actually kind of crazy. Like they'll film for 3 to 6 months and then be in post production for 9 and then market it for 3, year and a half to 2 years. So if they started filming this Christmas, yeah, I could see it be, 2024 Christmas. I could see it be a holiday release potentially. Because one thing that they're doing right that Marvel isn't doing, they're taking their time. And especially with their CGI. Like, my God, there has not been a shot where I've been like, ooh, you didn't really take your time here. No, every shot that I'm like, my God, even the water in this episode was freaking fantastic. Like, I wanted to swim in it. Like, dear Lord, it's beautiful, stunning. But Tim, what are your thoughts on this episode? Were you disappointed by it? Did you like it? And are you excited to see where these next 2 episodes could go? Or are you kind of just still in the same boat?
I didn't expect the creation of Mordor to come about as an Indiana Jones trap. That's very strange to me because I'm looking at it like that specific sword was forged for that specific like keyhole, which was specifically made to blow the water, specifically designed to flow through specific tunnels to make their way to that specific mountain and blow the top off it. Now, something else that's kind of weird to me is why did water... I guess I'd have to look up to see how scientifically accurate that is. If an ocean flows into a volcano, does it erupt?
Well, I'm thinking like, I mean,
I would think you would
obviously-
just kind of smoke out the sky for a few days, but I
Well-
wouldn't have thought that it would erupt.
Well, I mean, you gotta think of like, it could be like a thing of like steam or something like that. Like, if you could think of like,
Right.
if ever, yeah, but you have to think of like the amount of steam that would generate. Like, however, like just a huge volume of water dumping on, yeah.
No, sorry, I was realizing something.
Oh.
I was reading something. Okay. This makes sense. So, this is tough. Some shows are really good at show don't tell, and they did show us something and not tell us that it was really important. I would not have remembered unless I read it. So, when the orcs kidnapped Arendir and other humans and were making them, like, dig trenches, they were digging the trenches the water went through.
Yep.
That's what that was for.
That's a good call. I didn't even think about that either.
That's what I had assumed.
That
I'm like,
is... Yeah, I just wouldn't have remembered. I would have just been like, oh, the bad guys are enslaving the good guys. Typical stuff. But I don't know, it's weird to me. Like, it almost feels like the sword was not a necessary part of this plan. That is something the Forbes article points out, but they're not wrong, and I couldn't help but kind of feel similar as this was going on. Like, they decided to take the really hard way to pull this plan off. Not that it was an easy plan to begin with, but like, I like how Jack's like, do you like it? Are you disappointed? And I'm like, let's talk about plans, military
Let's talk about
tactics, common
volcanoes.
sense.
Let's talk about holes.
It seems like they took the really hard way to pull this plan off. Like, they had to search for an ancient artifact and attack enemy villages. I mean, they could have like destabilized the dam. They'd already dug the trenches. The next step could have been avoiding people and destabilizing the dam by night. And then blowing it, killing everybody in the village by flooding the valley. Their tunnels were done, so it would have gone to Mount Doom, and apparently, according to Middle-earth science, that would cause an eruption. And like, they could have wiped out the entire village and avoided an entire fight if they had just kind of nixed the sword from the equation and just went straight for the dam and just chiseled away at it in the dark.
I think like with that, it's kind of like the cliche of like, you know, the Eagles. Like the Eagles could have just got them, but it's not like, and I think that's the thing. It's about the journey.
The Eagles are a thing right now. I don't know.
Well, no, I mean like in the sense like when people were saying like the Eagles could have just freaking like in Fellowship of the Ring, we see that where Gandalf literally calls out for him, and it's like cool.
Oh yeah.
Why didn't they just pick up Frodo and Sam and just bop? And for that, I always say like it's about the journey. Now, granted,
there actually is an answer to that.
Well, I mean, the people who don't know, and I know there is, but the audience members, like they're just thinking about that. And some people will do this, and I think a majority will. They're like, "Oh well, I had a great time," and I think that's kind of the thing. And now, granted, also like I was saying with this, where if the journey sucks, then it's kind of like you lost your audience, bud. The journey wasn't worth it. Going back to the point of like, yeah, it took 6 episodes to get to this. This could have been episode 4 or episode 5. So I'm not saying in general like the whole journey sucked to get to this point, but it could have been felt a lot like the pacing could have been felt better for certain moments and certain storylines. Could have been not rushed, but yeah, just better pace to get to this reveal or the moment of the sword and its true purpose. Because I think the sword actually held a pretty big ground in this show overall. Like it always kept on going back to it at least in every other episode, or if not every episode. But I do get the point of like, well, if they knew that it was going to blow up the dam, then why didn't you just, like you said,
yeah, and I feel like that's kind of the issue with the sword is like to that point, like it just got used as an Indiana Jones prop, right? Because it's like here we see it's this incredible thing that we still don't quite understand what it was made for, who made it, and all the power that it wields, and we see like how insane it is, and also how important it is to, you know, to the bad people. And we see it can do cool stuff. Like if you stab yourself the right way with it, it'll create this crazy blade, like from flames. And it's just like, yo, this is so sick. And we see that, and we see all that importance, and then like it just gets jammed basically into a rock, and that's it. And I feel like to that point, and I think that that's kind of that's part of that debate, right? That's being had with like okay, so this is how all this happens. It's like literally just that. Because it seems like too fantastical of a thing, like of a weapon or of an artifact to just be used for that. Like it seems like that had a use, but not to be like used as like just a key that got jammed.
I would say honestly, like because it sounds like you're. Well, yeah, it sounds like you're saying that it should be used for a bigger purpose. I think that was a huge purpose. Like that was.
So.
I think so. I'm gonna have to disagree with you guys. I think that is huge. Now, granted, execution-wise, maybe could have been better, but I think, like, if it's just a sword to be a cool sword for Sauron, that's different, right? But it's a sword to open a gate to hell, essentially. That's how, at least that's how I see it. In my opinion, I see it as a gateway to hell, as in Mordor.
Yeah.
Because like that's epic as hell. But that's like I said, that's just my
Yeah.
opinion. I'm
I
not
mean,
saying I'm right,
can
but
I can see that. I think though that like again, you see all this cool power and then like you stick it into the ground and that's it. I think
but
that
it's what
like
it does. That's the
if
thing.
you
It's what it does after sticking. Like now, granted, it was literally just like stick it in the ground, and then there's like a collection of items for them to grab the orcs, or a clue to then get to the next thing to open the gates of hell, Mordor. I think that would be underwhelming. Be like, oh, but no, literally, it changes the whole shape of the lands.
but you could
Like,
have done that if you just blew the thing with dynamite or
but
you
that's
just
why I go
had
back to the journey.
enough
They
To me,
of
the
didn't.
journey.
They didn't have gunpowder yet because in Two Towers that was like a revelation.
Didn't know that.
I was saying dynamite as like just they could have literally used anything. They could have
Well, like
used
yeah,
pork.
like
They
what
could
Tim
have
was saying,
used
like chisel
heavy
it, like
stone.
literally.
Yeah.
They could have done
Yeah.
anything. I wasn't saying that to literally say like just blow it
Yeah.
up with like C4, but
There
like
was other ways.
yeah, like
Bring in the
exactly.
attack helicopter.
Yeah, I'm just saying that there were other ways for them to have done it, and the way that they were positioning the sword up until this episode, it seemed like it was going to be used as not like just an artifact, or as a key, but as something to be wielded, something that had ultimate power.
I think
And
that also
so,
has to do with expectation. Like for me, I honestly didn't know what to expect with it. I didn't know what the heck it was going to be used for. And I'm not saying that your expectation was like whatever, but obviously like it seems like you guys were a little bit underwhelmed with it. I was not. I was very
no, I
much
wasn't.
like
I'm just saying, like,
okay.
I understand.
I don't think
how
underwhelm's the
people
right
can-
word.
Yeah,
Just
I
like
can understand.
curious of the choice they made.
Well,
Yeah,
like
like
with the sword.
The sword honestly could have been cut out from the entire show up to this point. It didn't.
yeah, if
even
that's what
need
they
to-
were gonna do with it, yeah,
It didn't even need to be a part of this story.
yeah,
Because
I
essentially,
disagree.
what
I disagree
But-
because you need that element to open. It's like if the key, it's the key. Like you need to know where the key is at. And I think like to me, I as personally as somebody seeing this journey, to know where it's at, to know where it's located, and it's specifically in this environment that they need to access. They're trying to find it. I think they did. Granted, maybe like one episode they didn't need to do it that much, but like an episode before and then this episode, nah. I think it needed at least 3 or 4 episodes to build that up. But granted, in somebody else's experience, it might not be enough. It might just be like, dude, I don't need that much attention. Like I said, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying like my experience with it, I felt justified with it. That's all I'm saying. I personally felt justified with that.
I don't think the show needed it. I think the show should have leaned more into its characters and trusted the writers a bit more with the characters rather than with the sword B plot, because the sword is essentially the chewing a cracker. The sword is essentially kind of what has been like the, I don't know if driving force, kind of. It's been the driving force behind the conflict that's kept us around Arendir, Bronwyn, and Theo.
Mhm.
Without it, we could have gotten a better and more fleshed out picture of them and their relationship and what they would look like as a family and what it looks like as they're trying to become a family as their land becomes war-torn right under their feet. And they could have done all that without focusing on the sword if the orcs just had a not Indiana Jones plan. And if they had done the not Indiana Jones plan, on paper, it could have actually been more effective. They could have gotten their people out and broken the dam down far enough to let it come apart on its own with all that water behind it, flooded the tunnels that they'd already built, and wiped out the entire village with 0 casualties. They did not have to do it this way. I think the show could have honestly been fine without the sword plot point. Also, this show is positing the idea that it's positing the idea. It's not promising it, but it's positing the idea that Sauron is kind of more or less directly responsible for the creation of Mordor. And I don't think that is true. See, I myself have not really read the books or the Silmarillion, but as I go through this show, I'm like, oh, I want to look up some of this lore. And it's really cool. Like, some of this lore is really cool. And I guess just knowing that I'm not going to get to see this lore actually be adapted is a little bit sad to me, because it is so cool. Like, the show is basically showing us that, like, oh, the Second Age is when everything kind of comes apart, and that's when the bad place gets created. But that's actually not true. Mount Doom has been around for a long time at this point.
I don't know what happened in the first half of Act 2, which I'll say is like episodes 3 and 4. I don't really know what was going on there. It was like a black hole. And I think, like you had mentioned earlier, Joseph, I think that, like, especially based on what people are saying, some of these headlines and stuff like that, that for some people it's a little too late, unfortunately. Like, that was a really critical time, like, where, again, they could have had a lot of fun in the world. We could have, like, really explored the tensions. We could have gotten a little bit more into even what we're seeing now with the bad guy, right? With the we've said his name a million times at this point.
Adar.
Adar. Thank you.
Or Adar,
yeah,
however you want to.
with the yeah, with Adar, like, we could have been getting these hints back then in episode 2 and 3, like, or 3 and 4. Like, it would have taken nothing from the story. It wouldn't have made any reveal any less. And if anything, in my opinion, it would have made things more interesting, because now you're like, oh snap, there's actually a little bit more to this guy than what's going on. And yeah, sure, they're doing vicious stuff, but Gladriel is, like, pretty vicious herself. So, like, and they seem to be on a collision course. And one is allegedly the bad guy, and the other one allegedly isn't the bad guy. But, like, what is actually going on here? You know? And then you have all the other regular people, like the humans, the Harfoots. You have everyone else that's kind of just caught in the crosshairs, basically. Like, and so yeah, I think that, like, unfortunately, they let go of a lot of the steam that they had built up in episode 1 and episode 2. Episode 2, to me, already the steam is starting to wane, but you had some of the excitement of some of the new places, meeting some new faces and that kind of thing. And learn a little bit more about the world. And so, you know, we kind of hit that black hole of 3 and 4, and you've lost a bunch of people, unfortunately, by that point, because it's been like 3 weeks, you know, or something like that. By the end of episode 4, and then once you get into 5, and now with 6, now we're actually hitting things that feel right. Like, now, like, it, like, oh snap, oh what, this is coming together now, that's coming together now. And now at the end of this episode, like, oh snap, right when we thought everything was tight, now everything has gone to hell in a handbasket. Whoa, what's gonna happen next? Now we're entering into, again, now we're in his world. We were before, we knew that there is some sort of collision, and that's part of what Gladriel was racing off to, was to meet whatever this darkness is, and yada yada, return this, blah blah blah. But this is something that is completely new. So it's like, now what? And I think that's a beautiful mystery to set up. We don't know. We don't know. We had the coolest little army people that came and helped beat back the orcs, and we thought everything was going to be cool. And now it's not. Now what's going to happen? Like, who else is there? Like, the dwarves are doing their thing. The elves are doing whatever it is that the elves are doing, trying to keep from the curse of the whatever from happening. And everyone, for the most part, is kind of in a bad way. Not necessarily the dwarves. They're just locked into what they're doing. But, like, everyone kind of has something negative going. I won't say the Harfoots necessarily have something negative going. They're just in their migration right now. But yeah, it's like it's in a weird state right now for like most of the groups that we're looking at, if not all the groups that we're looking at. And now this has happened. And so I think that like now we're in a different part of the game, which is cool. That's what should be happening right now. Like if they are committed to telling, you know, like a story that people will feel like is like fulfilling or that's rewarded, following all these different like, you know, arcs and also the kind of stuff, it's like you want to see this. You want to see like what are they going to do now? And then of course, like within that last episode, it'll be them figuring out what the hell it is that they can do and acting on that. And now I think they'll end on some great new mysteries or some mysteries that we forgot about because it's been 6 episodes since they talked about something or whatever. And now it's like, oh, right, that thing or that person or that place or yada, yada, you know? This episode, like I said, I'm not sure where I would place it on my favorites so far list. But it was a solid episode that I did enjoy. And to me, it gave me comfort and it may be ill-placed comfort, but it gave me comfort in that like, okay, they are going to be like making sure that they deliver on a story that like makes sense to people and that rewards them for like paying attention, you know? Because I feel like that's what had people a little upset with 3 and 4. At least I can even just speak personally for that one. Like 3 and 4 was like, okay, like 2 weeks down, you know? Yeah, so those are kind of my thoughts on this episode and where we've been in the series and where we're going for the rest of the season.
Guys, that was our thoughts. We agreed. We didn't agree. It was beautiful. I love having these conversations. I love talking to you guys about this stuff. I'm really excited for next week. I genuinely am super excited. Now that we got the battle, we're getting the aftermath of the battle and the beginning of a war. We're getting the beginning of Mordor. In a very different way than I think all of us anticipated, whether it was through the device, Indiana Jones style, whether it was through holes filling up with water, then going to a volcano, then boom, didn't see that coming. But overall, I think we all had a good time with this episode. But I'm very curious to see where everything is going to end. Where this season 1 specifically, where this is going to end. Is it going to be a tease kind of ending, or is it going to be like a solidifying kind of ending? My guess, it's going to be a tease kind of ending. But guys, enough of our thoughts. What do you guys think? Comment down below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. But most importantly, don't forget to be blessed.